I want to talk about you guys for a little bit here because you guys run a podcast. Obviously, you are heavily involved in politics. It seems like, right?
Yes. I want to know how did you guys meet and like what is the backstory of how you started your channel?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Linda and I were both political influencers down in Miami-Dade, and it was inevitable, you know, both being in the same area and being very politically driven with local politics. We had a mutual friend, a comedian, invite us both out to his show, and we sat in the table together, and it was like we had been friends our entire life. And then after the 2020 elections, we're like, all right, well, there's a space for us, right? Like, we're Latinas. It's a demographic where we feel that culturally Latinos are conservative, but unfortunately the way that politics are set up and the way that media, Spanish media in particular, is set up, Hispanic media, a lot of them identify as liberals. So we wanted to create a space where they had voices that sounded like them, that were talking about these issues, not just about politics, but also pop culture from a conservative point, which we don't feel that there's enough of. Not nearly enough, I think these days. Do you guys feel like you've caught like an audience, that the audience you were looking to reach? Yeah, we have. In fact, we did like a survey the other day, and I think that something like 30% of our audience doesn't identify as Republican or MAGA, which was a huge win for us, because we want to be able to reach people that were like us. We're both former Democrats. Now we just identify as Republicans because things have gotten so crazy. We feel like the left definitely pushed to an extreme. And we want to be able to give people a voice where it's like, hey, I promise you, there's like rational conservatives, there's rational Republicans that agree with, that stand on a really like middle ground of a lot of things that liberals, quote unquote, might agree with. So we do feel that the audience that we're targeting right now is, you know, those people that maybe are like peeking over to the conservative side from the liberals, saying like, oh, maybe I do have these kind of conservative ideologies. They might not even be conservatives. It could literally just, like, if it's somebody like me who is still very liberal on plenty of things, but just gets kind of tossed into the conservative basket because the Overton window is shifted as far as it has, right? Yeah. So what stories have you guys been following lately that really speak to you?
What content?
What content? Politically?
Anything.
I think we've been kind of hitting it hard with the red pill manosphere stuff, especially on Twitter and on YouTube, mostly because it's, I can't say the R word, and and it's not based on real life, no matter how many studies they want to link. It's also very victim-like. Yeah, it's I'm a victim of women, I'm a victim. It's the same thing as a feminist. I'm a victim of men, I'm a victim of a patriarchy, I'm a victim of the white man. And so because it has kind of crossed over with the conservative movement and even politics, and certain creators like Tim Cass just had, you know, Fresh and Fit here and stuff. Then we've kind of, I was on that episode with them. I was on. Yeah. So we've kind of, you know, commented on what's going on. And
I did clown on women's basketball. I will say I did.
As you should. Fine.
As we all do, honestly, we clown on women all the time too.
What was your impression of them?
Look, it's like when I see creators in this space, I tend to feel that, look, I didn't meet them personally. Like, I showed up 30 minutes before the show, right? I didn't get a chance to talk to them personally, so I don't know what they're like off camera. And I'm not the type of person who's going to judge who a person is based on their on-screen persona, because a lot of people, I would like to think that we don't do that here as much. Like, there's still an element of performance when you're doing something like this, but I'm not always going to judge a person based on what they're portraying. I might criticize their message. I might think that what their messaging is sharing is bad, but I know that a lot of people push it to 11 because it reaches an audience. So my impressions of them, it's hyper dramatic. It's done for effect because it sells tickets, it sells subscriptions, and all those things. Like, I've got my critiques of feminism, just like I've got my critiques of, you know, the MGTOW and manosphere, all that stuff. But I'm just such a centrist that I think most of that stuff just doesn't speak to me. So,
it flies over the head of most normal people.
Well, it does. And that's why when we talk to men who are not on the internet, or I guess mostly men, they're confused as to what the hell these people are talking about. Like, we just had a male panel and we brought in normal guys. Like, if they have an Instagram, it's private. Like, they don't do anything on the internet at all. Like, they're just dating like normal people would. And it was a pretty diverse like crowd. We even had our friend Anthony, who also has a YouTube channel, Inform with Anthony. He's married at 18, has 3 beautiful children, has been with the same woman since he was 18 years old, so about 18 years on. He's 36, 37. And we had like the single guy, we had like, you know, a black man, like everybody, and they're mostly confused about this ideology that's, you know, caters to a very small minority on the internet. Like, they're all just like, what? Like, shocked.
And that they're all men that haven't struggled with women, which is why we wanted to bring them on the panel. It's like, this is what regular guys will tell you, you know. And then we presented these like RP ideologies to them, like, how do you feel about paying for a woman on the first date? And all of their jaws dropped to the floor. They're like,
what?
Why would I do that? Like, why would I make a woman pay on the first date? Like, how am I gonna smash if I'm asking her to pay for the date? Like, it's because it's still kind of, they're still dudes, so they're still focused on the same thing, which is like smashing and getting babes. All right, it's just they're actually getting women because they're practicing these, you know, they're treating, they're nice, they're fun to hang out with, they're you know, they're cool guys, as opposed to a lot of these men on what seems like the RP space that seem like they're either very sad and bitter that they've been like hurt by somebody in the past, or they're lonely, which is understandable. I agree that men do have a harder time in society that women do, but I want to help make that easier for them. And I think that a lot of this RP ideology is just going to lead to just lonelier men.
It's kind of interesting that the red pill movement it first came up over 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's been a long time since it was in its heyday, and then it just made this huge resurgence within the past year or 2 years that just seems like totally inorganic and astroturfed. And now it's just everywhere. It's taken over political and cultural discourse.
And depending on the platform you're on, like, look, if you go on Instagram, you will see a lot of women who make the videos that are anti-male, but they're done as skits. And everybody doing this, what has happened is, like, the way I tried to explain it the other day is, like, look, everyone's talking at each other, and they're talking to audiences rather than to individuals. When you're having these conversations, like the one I was reading about, it was a girl, like, explaining why women steal your French fries at dinner. And I'm like, and she's explaining it, and I'm like, dude, this is only going to annoy people because.
Wait, so why?
It's like, we want to know that you're going to share what you have with us. She gives it's like an anthropological answer rather than just saying like, I didn't think I was hungry, and then I smelled the French fries and now I'm hungry again.
It's probably some mix of both.
Yes, and so, but the thing is like, or when people complain about their spouse on the internet, we'll hold off on the $20 one there, but like when they complain about their spouse on the internet, like, that's not a conversation that's supposed to be shared with everybody. It's supposed to go with the person that you're actually intimate with, which then brings in all of the intimate moments that you shared together. So there's leeway given to statements. There's connection that isn't there when you're talking to a person that you don't know, right? So everyone's talking at each other. No one's really talking to each other.
There was a story that went viral on TikTok a few months back, and it's a woman that apparently she was at some party with her husband. Her husband stayed late. The guy gets dragged out to the strip club with his friends, and then the wife has a conniption about it. But she went on the internet and she blasted her husband for going to the strip club and was like, "Oh, I can't believe he did this to me." Blah, blah, blah. So of course the internet gets all riled up. They find the guy. They start calling his job. The guy gets fired. She didn't leave her husband, so all she did was ruin her life,
family's life,
ruin her whole life. For one income family household, she wasn't working. She was a stay-at-home mom, and she went and took her private business to the internet and completely ruined her own life as a result.
There's a $20 one right
That's
there.
Crazy.
I think it's ESO said the manosphere red pillars would be so much better off if they put that energy in bickering into bettering themselves instead of being victims of circumstance. It's literally feminism going the other way, and it's cringe.
Amen.
A lot of it is just the chronically online. I did see one the other day where this woman's like, my husband said he would only come on vacation with us if he could golf every day. I'm like, first of all, I don't know if I buy this story. Like, you know, I do think that some of these people, men and women, create this stuff just to make people angry because they know this. But she's like, and it shows her, she's like making like like a drink, like I don't know, she's making like chocolate milk, like from home or something. And then she's like, my husband's looking for his golf clubs. I said I packed them, but I didn't pack them. So basically saying like they went on vacation and now he's like looking for his golf clubs and the golf clubs aren't there because she just lied to him.
Is that what she was saying though? I feel like that's because I've seen those. I think that what she's insinuating is that he's on a golfing trip, but if he comes back and he doesn't realize that his golf clubs aren't there, then he wasn't actually on a
really
golfing
clever,
trip.
But why would he do that while going on vacation with them? Like they're all on vacation together.
Oh,
and she also
that's mean. That was just mean spirited. She didn't want him to golf on their time.
She also does the drag where she says like, I had to pack everything, of course. But
there's a lot of content of like wives and stay-at-home moms complaining about their lives and
there's a lot of
putting their
bitter
husbands
trad wives.
The
on
point
blast
is
online.
that it's not that the argument isn't a valid argument to have. It's that you should be having it together, not sharing this on social media.
The internet.
And then it's just making all the single women who watch think that it's a living hell to be married and be a mom.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just completely counterintuitive. Yeah. But I want to know, to switch topics, what was your opinion on the conservative reaction to Barbie? And what did you guys think of Barbie?
You didn't watch it.
I haven't watched it. I've just kind of like heard the reviews and it's
just all the response to it. It was a cultural moment, regardless of what
it was. A little mocking of woke culture based off what I've heard.
I watched it.
What'd you think?
I thought it was a great movie, and I thought it was a great movie. Not necessarily because like first of all, why are we looking at this through a conservative or liberal standpoint? It's fucking Barbie.
The director is a very, very devout feminist.
That's fine though. It's still a fictitious movie based on a character that has been always traditionally feminist. Barbie was president. Barbie was a scuba diver. Barbie
wasn't anti-male.
I don't think so. No. I don't think so at all, because it actually showed you the realities of two different worlds, which was the Barbie world, the allegedly perfect world ran by feminists, which had a black female president, of all women Supreme Court justice. Every day was a beautiful day. You know, the boys, it was like they didn't even care where the boys slept. Like they asked her, like, where does Ken sleep? And she was like,
they just wait for Barbies to come back.
Yeah, like, I don't know where the hell. And then that reality was fractured for Barbie, right? And then where does she decide to stay? She stayed in the real world, which is supposedly, allegedly, the patriarchy, right? So I thought it was kind of like a jab at both, like, especially everything is so extremist right now. When Barbie was in the real world and she like ran into like these young girls in middle school or high school, I think, and she said like, oh, like I'm supposed to be like your favorite like toy, like I'm Barbie, I'm beautiful, I'm this, and like the girl is looking at her and says, you're a fascist, you know? Like everybody lost it laughing, because it's like that's what we're living right now, where, you know, if you are beautiful and you take care of yourself, if you're fit, right? Isn't
something
that, like,
totally benign could
if you drink milk, you know, raw milk, then you may be a far right extremist. So I thought Greta was making more of like a mockery out of both extremes, and in the end, you know, she stayed in the patriarchy. So
we got one from Gordon Shumway. Yeah. One of the best memes I've seen over the past few years was a menu. One of the options was a selection of "My GF isn't hungry" that includes 4 extra fries and an extra chicken wing and an extra mozzarella stick. Yeah.
That place went out of business. I looked it. We looked it up. Yeah, that place went out of business. Sadly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
didn't help with the profit margins.
Yeah. Look, it was the part that bothered me, and we've talked about it. Was the scene where they're playing music for them.
It was the scenes where the Barbies were cynically humoring the Kens, pretending to be interested in the things that they like, and it kind of reviles the idea that like the opposite sex is something like you don't totally understand, but you should delight in our differences and not.
There's something cynical about that.
Not resent just like the fact that men sometimes share things with women they like.
As a movie buff, I would like to think that I've never mansplained a movie to a woman. I would like to think, right? But the idea is not that you're mansplaining. The idea is that this is something you're passionate about. You care about storytelling. You care about cinema. And you're sharing something that you love with this person. You're trying to explain it to them. They portray it as something malicious. The same with the music. They talk about the Kens' egos when they're playing songs for Barbie, and they use that to crush the Kens because the idea is that men have fragile egos. I just felt that was a cynical way of approaching the dynamic.
If it's the more intelligent interpretation, which you just said, I think Greta Gerwig did that without really realizing it.
Yeah, and the reason we said that, we because we had to cover it a lot because this channel covers so much in pop culture. They gave her an interview and they asked her like, "What's so feminist about the movie?" And she said,
"What makes it a feminist movie?" And she just had no fucking clue.
So if it is deeper, I think that speaks more to the intelligence of the audience, perhaps, than the director. But I could be wrong. But it just felt like usually if somebody has a very fully fleshed out idea of what they think the message in their movie is, they've got a 30-second to 1 minute elevator pitch that they can give you.
If it's so feminist, why would she not end up in Barbie land?
It's why do you think that is?
Well, maybe it's not so feminist as it seems.
I just think that it's not.
But I'm not. The thing is, I'm not labeling the movie feminist. I'm saying I didn't like the movie for
there were
specific
issues
reasons.
with it, and there were other parts of it that were enjoyable, and everyone took it way.
Oh no, we love the first before America Ferrera gives the big speech. Which I felt that was when the movie started to take itself too seriously.
And boring.
Like before that, it was great. But once it took that turn, it started to feel mean-spirited.
And I think that she should have ended up with Ken.
Yeah.
At the end.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.